Welcome everybody to another B2B Leaders webinar hosted by Shift One. I'm your host today, and I will be talking you through websites, what makes a B2B website effective and what makes it absolutely tank and lose you customers. So we've got a lot to cover and we're going to try and cover it as quickly as possible. Please give us your comments in the chat anytime throughout, and we will get to them at the end of the session. So a website has got a big job on its hand. It needs to make sure that lead quality is in place, pipeline contribution is in place. It needs to build credibility. And a word I keep using in webinars when it comes to website, gravitas. Gravitas, your website has got to deliver the gravitas. And most of the time when I open websites and I'm sitting with a prospect or I'm sitting with a customer and we look at the website, the sites lack gravitas. And that means that they lack credibility and they really don't convince me, a new buyer, to choose you. So you need to also differentiate yourself from your competitors. It needs to be sales empowered and enabled, and it really needs to support your ROI. So really, the big question is, how can we support you in creating a website that becomes a revenue generating B2B sales and marketing asset? And so we're going to give you a whole lot of tips and tricks in this session. So welcome, because we do have quite a packed agenda. So before we start, I want to tell you a little bit about us for those of you who don't know us, so that you see that we have the ability to speak on these topics. And we are a B2B marketing agency that can specialize in full service marketing, all the way from market research, persona creation, surveys, strategy, customer journey mapping, the whole way through to specializing in deep dives into digital. So digital is really where we hit our sweet spot. We love digital marketing. It's highly measurable. And when we put your personas and your ICPs at the heart of everything that we do in every single digital touch point, we can pull everything together in creating beautiful pictures and a beautiful brand, and then marrying that with hard-hitting ROI. That's really what we do. And I'm joined by an amazing team, predominantly sitting in Cape Town with some up north in Sandton and Pretoria. I sit in Germany, and we have satellite offices around the world. So I am your host, Dylan Kolstad, founder and CEO of Shift One. We've been going 16 years now, specialist B2B agency. And we specialize really in what I like to call the non-sexy industries, like manufacturing, industrial, engineering brands. And then you've got your slightly sexier side, which is consulting, tech, financial services clients as well. But we are quite niched in what we do and really good at what we do. And I'm joined today by Hunter, who is our senior UX designer. Hunter, welcome.
Oh, thank you, Dylan. I'm happy to be here.
Very excited to hear your insights on web design and development. You are definitely the pro when it comes to that. Okay, so without any further ado, let's just set the scene. We're going to helicopter up, as I like to do, and just say, what's our starting base? What's the reality that marketers or businesses are sitting in? And obviously, the main thing, as I always touch on in these webinars, is the B2B buyer. The B2B buyer, as we know, has a very long sales cycle. So you're looking at anything upward of 3 to 18 months. We had a prospective client reach out to us. They've been following our social medias for 2 years, but they were locked into a contract with somebody else. And that's how it works in our space. And that's how it works in your space. They already have existing contracts in place. How do you win them over? And so that when they are ready to send you that RFP, they've already decided on you, and you're the ones that they want. There are multiple decision makers. So you have, your technical engineering staff, you have your financial guys, you've got your operational team. So how do you bring everybody together on your website, which is often the starting point? You've got these really mega high value deals, and you deal in low volume sales, or potentially deal in high volume sales of low value items. Either way, you need to cater for that. And your buyers are becoming more and more digital. So in the past, it was all relationship driven. Everything that you did was relationship driven, and that's wonderful. That's a good space to be in. And relationships are still number one. Absolutely. Account-based marketing, number one in what we do. But more and more, the role of digital has to support the relationship and support the account-based marketing. So your buyers are extremely digital, and they're often turning to AI before they're turning to peers or colleagues for references. And websites are responsible for supporting that pipeline, not just building brand awareness. So there's a big job your website has to do, and it is literally your hardest working salesperson. And if it doesn't even turn up in Google, then you really are dead in the water, especially in today's day and age. So 77% of B2B buyers say their last purchase was complex or difficult, and that's really something that your website can do in terms of supporting that. So website definitely forms part of the pre-sales process. So people are landing on your website. It's feeding AI. So it's actually sending its information into AI, scraping your website, potentially being recommended or not. Yesterday, we got an inquiry from someone that said AI recommended you. You need to have that information. You need to have that clarity, and it all starts on the website. So the website supports your sales team like nothing else. 61% of buyers prefer a rep-free experience. So they're first going to land on the website, check things out, get a sense of everything, and then potentially pick up the phone. And you've got 3 to 5 seconds. We're going to delve into this 3 to 5 seconds that you have to convince someone that your website is the best and your business and your brand is the best and to choose you. And it's a very, very, very short window of time that you have to convince people that they need to buy from you. So as always, whenever you join one of our webinars, the first thing that we start off is your personas. It is absolutely critical that you have unpacked each of your personas in perfect detail, that you've surveyed them, that you've spoken to them, and that you've crafted these personas based on each separate decision maker or influencer in your buying funnel for each stage of their journey, and then identify how each touch point has to support them. So your website, your social media, all the different email marketing, ads, all of this comes together in this funnel or this journey that you create for each persona. And that's really marketing 101 and digital marketing 101. And this has got to be in place for you. So if you don't have that, reach out. We can help you put that in place. It's really insightful to survey your customers and hear from them. We survey your sales teams. We really get a deep understanding so that we can create this detailed buyer journey, which really is customized. And the website has a very big role to play so that at each step of the buyer journey for each of your different personas, you've got a nice, clear hand holding that happens. And technology really can come and underpin everything and track people across the journey and do really nice, robust attribution modeling as well. If you don't have this in place, I would say that this is your starting point. And then very, very briefly, your website. So it's only as good as the strategy that's behind it. So it's got to be designed around your customers. It's got to build trust. It's really got to show that you are the best at this and really explain what you do in a couple of seconds. And it's really got to support lead generation, and it's got to support your sales team. So the website's got a big ask to do. And we do have platforms like Scale One. Chat to us about Scale One if you are looking for a easy to use all-in-one sales and marketing platform that can do your attribution marketing for you, as well as track your users through the buyer journey and do real-time dashboards and reporting, as well as order mailers and support sales. So that's really, if you don't have a system like that, chat to us. It's extremely cost effective. Okay, very quickly, why do websites fail? 94% of websites fail because they have a bad design. And so I'll be honest with you, probably 8 out of 10 B2B websites that I land on are poorly designed. They have a generic look and feel. They feel weak. They feel thin. Or they're just really old and they just haven't been redone. It's rare that I will open a website and say to a prospect or a customer, your website's amazing. You literally don't have to do anything, because most of the time most web developers and web designers out there just don't understand web UX as we do. And in their defense, they haven't run their own usability lab. They weren't trained in usability testing by Jacob Nielsen in Chicago. And, they haven't done hundreds of hours sitting with users and actually testing websites together. So it's very hard to know this information, even if you studied UX design. And 75% of users judge credibility by design. So you can see design is very important. And you've got 3 seconds before they bounce. So you can't have an outdated design. And, web design is changing, I would say, used to be every 5 years. I'm going now to every 3 years. I'm not saying you have to redesign every 3 years, but you need a website design that will last you at least the next 5 years before you need to redo it. So web design is advancing at a rate of knots, just how you present websites, and especially in the B2B space. So you need to have a clear value proposition. It needs to be built for the right people at the right time. It can't be slow. We ask us about our premium hosting. We offer premium hosting to most of our clients because I don't want to be horrible, but local hosting just doesn't cut it. And it's got almost zero downtime. So you really are looking at a holistic ecosystem that this website has to live in, including your sales, your CRM, and your capture. So we're going to go through a couple of practical examples together because I don't want this to be a theoretical exercise. So we're actually going to share some websites with you, and then later on, we're going to actually jump onto some sites and audit them together. And that's going to be fun because you're going to hear literally live how websites appear, and we'll audit them together. So your homepage is the most important. As you know, most people don't click away from the homepage. So it's got a big job to do. Then your products and services pages, really unpacking them, having all the information there and presenting it at the right information, the right call to action at the right stage and the right time. Your about us and your credibility, very important. There is a science to building an about us page. And the reason I know this is because when I sit with customers and I do usability testing and I sit with a prospect and I say to them, why do you want to go to that page? And they tell me why. This is what they expect to see on the page. I start to get an understanding of why the about us page is so important. And then obviously to make sure there's a strong conversion layer and that it's all integrated into some great CRM or your WhatsApp and it's all trackable. Okay, I'm going to give you a pause from my voice now and I'm going to hand over to Hunter, who is going to talk you through some of the 101s on good UI and good UX. Hunter, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, thank you so much, Dylan. I thought before we jump into the UX principles, I just wanted to chat about the UI versus UX very quickly, just to put those two into perspective. So the user interface, the UI, is actually how your website looks and focuses on the visual and interactive elements. Now, most companies only design the visible tip of this iceberg, but conversion happens below the surface in the user experience, your UX, which is actually how your website feels and functions. So we're speaking about the strategy, psychology, structure, and decision-making systems that shape how people move through your website. So I thought that was just quite important, just to kind of clarify before we jump into the first principle. So the first UX principle is use strategic sequencing in your design. And the client that we worked with is CRJ that I wanted to take a look at. So CRJ is a well-established business that actually services the waste, forestry, and recycling industries across the UK and Ireland. The strategic sequencing approach applied here was building credibility with statistics, answering the prospects' questions of who they are, what they do. There's some businesses and partners that they've worked with, and that adds an additional trust layer. And then the inquiry form is only at the very end. Now, you wonder why the strategic sequencing was done in this format. And it's because a B2B buyer that makes a high value decision, they need to feel like they're calling a credible business, not just filling out a lead gen widget. So Shift 1 executed the strategic sequencing on the homepage so that every scroll builds that confidence and the conversion action only appears once that trust bank is full. And the results just based off this was a 533% increase in inquiries and 101% more users. And in addition, we've actually entered this website of CRJ for a few awards, and we're confident that we'll win. The second principle is to reduce friction for the technical buyer. And the client that we would like to take a look at is Lessico SA. Now, Lessico is a bathroom and sanctuary ware supplier, and they offer solutions to your plumbers, architects, homeowners, and merchants across Africa. Now, the issue with their previous website is that it was very confusing. There were multiple friction points for their prospects to obtain the technical information that they required, like spec sheets, product codes, SANS compliance data, and so on. So the user journey was very overwhelming, and there was a lack of consistency in how their brand came across and the clarity. So now with the redesign, the homepage structure actually guides users naturally from the brand story and services. Their product discovery was simplified through clear product and range sections, as well as visual grouping, making it easier to navigate. And then there's also a proof layer, including warranties and testimonials. Your call to actions like find a stockist and contact us are consistently placed throughout the homepage so that users can take clear action at any stage. And then we also integrated a WhatsApp directly into the homepage experience to reduce the friction and make support feel immediate and human. So Shift One redesigned the website, introducing a strategy where all the information was available at the top level. There was no digging around required. So our main focus areas were on the navigation bar, and that's to showcase the products that appeal to the diverse personas they serve. We wanted to ensure brand consistency across the entire site and to reduce these friction points. The result of this overhaul was a 46% year-on-year increase in sales after the new website went live. The brand was overhauled, social media posts were upgraded, and the full-service digital marketing campaigns were launched. The website also won a Markham Platinum Award, which means that the website was recognized as one of the most outstanding digital platforms in the industry. UX principle number 3 is to connect the site to your sales team. And we would like to have a look-see at WEG Africa. WEG Africa is a solar energy website we launched only in March this year. It speaks to personas across 3 different sectors, including residential, commercial, and industrial, and then your utility scale. We intentionally simplified a technically complex product, offering it into a clear solution pathways for these 3 sectors, because it helps different prospects self-navigate quickly and easily. And the primary focus of the client, they wanted us to focus on generating leads and to build a nationwide systems integrated network. So those 2 elements were quite large objectives in the build of the site. So Shift One executed the design with persistent call to actions in the navigation bar and throughout the site to ensure that every prospect path leads to a human conversation and touch point. And every page element should funnel a qualified visitor towards the sales rep as efficiently as possible. So within the first 60 days after the site was launched, the result is over 91 sales leads and over 60 system integrator applications nationwide. Okay. The UX principle number 4 is to create multiple conversion entry points. And the client we would like to have a look-see at is Palmbound. Palmbound is a relocation and residency platform for Dubai, and it's designed to convert prospects at every stage of their decision journey. So the website strategy centered on one core principle. Ask the visitor where they are in the process, and then give them the clear next step to action. So Shift One structured the homepage around three clear personas: dreaming, navigating, and committed. And each of these are linked to tailored packages, educational content, and relevant tools. This site was intentionally designed with multiple conversion paths so that no visitor reaches a dead end. You'll have casual readers that can engage with free resources. Early stage prospects can purchase entry-level guides. Committed movers can inquire about premium relocation services, and B2B partners can apply to join the network. So every audience segment has a relevant action and a clear progression towards the conversion. The result is that users spend an average of 7 minutes on the site, which is quite phenomenal. The last UX principle we'll be covering is serve everyone on the buying committee. And the client we would like to have a look at is Winfreight. Winfreight is a transport management software platform serving freight, logistics, and supply chain businesses. Now, the website strategy focused on recognizing that B2B purchasing decisions are rarely made by one person. Operation teams want efficiency, finance teams want visibility and reporting, management wants scalability, and IT stakeholders want system integration and reliability. So the homepage was designed to make a complex logistics platform feel clear and manageable from the very first screen. And we focused on clarity over clutter. So we structured the homepage around business problems first. The messaging speaks to visibility, efficiency, tracking, and operational control before introducing technical systems. The homepage flow was designed to guide users naturally, from understanding the platform to exploring the capabilities to building trust and then booking a demo. And we used a strong visual hierarchy and structured content blocks so that the layout feels systematic, controlled, and easy to navigate. Trust building was a major focus throughout the homepage, using years of experience, operational messaging, and client focused content to reduce friction in the buying journey. Calls to action were intentionally repeated across the homepage just to make it easy for users to inquire or to request a demo at any point of their journey. If we move over to a product page, just as an example, Shift 1 structured the website to speak directly to each stakeholder's priorities. Operational benefits, financial controls, workflow automation, reporting, and integration capabilities are surfaced repeatedly throughout the user journey so that every decision maker can quickly find the information most relevant to them. So there's persistent call to actions for demos, product-focused landing pages, and then your role-specific value propositions that help move complex buying committees toward a shared decision faster. And the result of this approach is over 5,200 unique visitors in the first 90 days since we've launched the site. Thank you so much, Dylan.
Thank you, Hunter. That was power. So, yeah, a very big combined effort that goes into making an award-winning website that really takes a client's business from where they give it to us to where we leave it off. And that involves a lot of complex thinking to create something that looks simple. So there's a lot of moving parts in getting a site to that level. So how has AI changed search? Because obviously we need to build sites that rank in Google as well as get featured in AI recommendations. So as you know, your buyers are now turning to AI. They used to be turning to Google, and now they're turning to AI to really ask all the questions and to get recommendations. So 80% of consumers and buyers are resolving 40% of their online searches without clicking. So this is what we call zero click. You know, we've moved to a space where people are just going to AI and asking for all the questions and getting recommendations. So the main question is, can your buyers find you? And is your website getting you recommended on AI? So how do you rank in AI? We do have a talk on this. We did run a webinar on the pivot to AI and how to optimize your site from just plain SEO to all of the different permutations of AI optimization. And there are a lot of things that you can do and a lot of steps that you can follow, which you're welcome to catch up on that video. We have linked it there. We'll link it in the description as well. But there's a lot that you need to do now to be featured in AI. So in the past, SEO, and that still is position 0, you do need to start off with your SEO. It was easier to rank for SEO. Now that AI is out, it makes life a little bit complex, more complex, and you got to work a little bit harder. But we are the #1 ranked agency for AI and SEO searches in South Africa and Africa. So how did we move from here, position 2, to here, position 1? Well, watch that webinar and we'll talk you through it step by step. It takes a lot of work, but you can do it. So obviously your website needs to be optimized on a technical side. You need to make sure that you've got your all your technical in place. You need to make sure you've got your on-page SEO in place. And obviously you need to make sure that your content is optimized. It's not just about making a few blogs. I'll speak to companies probably once or twice a week that tell me, when I ask them, how's your SEO? And they say they're writing blogs. Well, folks, it ain't gonna cut it. So There's a lot more that goes into ranking in SEO than just a couple of blogs. So definitely reach out if you want to hear from the company that we did it for ourselves and we do it for our clients. We can definitely do it for you. Otherwise, watch the webinar and you can do it yourself, the homemade way. Lead generation and sales support. We've mentioned this a couple of times, but it's absolutely critical that you have the right calls to action at the right time for different buyers. So what I found in usability testing is that if you have a too strong call to action too early in the customer's journey, they often get turned off by this and they actually feel like, I'm not ready to buy yet. I'm still looking for information. And so it's really, really important that you have the right call to action at the right stage and for the right buyer, depending on where they are in their buying journey. Different landing pages for different buyers, very important. Different forms. So depending on who I am visiting your site, my needs, you need to have different forms ready and all of them need to link up to your CRM like Scale One. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Are you going to email gate your downloadable and are you going to email gate your case study? That is a very, very important question that we need to flesh out with you because it depends on whether getting the email address is more important than the visitor getting that asset. So that's something that needs to be weighed up. And then obviously you can use tools like remarketing to target people if you're not going to be doing email gating. And demo requests, really important. If you're a product that requires a demo, for example, software as a service, link directly to a calendar that is tied to your CRM like Scale One, because it's absolutely imperative that that calendar fires off automations to remind people before they're meeting you, after they're meeting you, and that those people go into the sales pipeline. Because let's be honest, salespeople are busy. They do a lot of admin or they're out there selling and they don't always get to chase up and follow up and remind, and which is why Scale One really supports us as a business and our clients in continuing the sales process. That's where your automated mailers come in, your newsletters, and things like that. So ROI and tracking, you can do a whole bunch of things on your website to track your ROI. Firstly, integrating your CRM, all of your forms, you can apply heat maps, you can set up conversion tracking, attribution tracking, pipeline tracking, and different marketing dashboards can be enabled. Basically, when it comes to marketing and digital marketing 101, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. And whatever is measured is managed. So let's definitely be measuring our website. Open your Google Analytics at least once a week. Look at your data, see who's coming to your website, see which insights you can see, look at which pages they're visiting, open that page, look at the bounce rate. Very important that you audit your own site on a regular basis because websites get old and stale and dusty, and it's really, really important that you absolutely are on top of your website design. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick live website review, and I've got nothing against these websites. I simply pulled them out of a hat, and we're just going to be pulling up one site at a time and just working through some of the things that maybe I would do or wouldn't do, as well as some of the improvements that I might suggest to these businesses if they came to me. So let's start with Rapid 3D. As I said, this is not a client of ours. This is just a random site that I pulled out of a hat. And immediately I feel like there's a problem that the site might be broken because there are no images loading. This is just a text-heavy site. And one thing I know from usability testing is that people don't read. This is the big challenge that Hunter and I sit with and the creative team sits with when it comes to web design, because you need the words for the spiders and the AI, but most people don't read. So how do you present a lot of wordy information like this in a way that still helps you, the user, landing on the site? So this site lacks design. It's just a bunch of words, and there are no images randomly because I think I know what a 3D printer is, but if you showed me a picture, I would definitely know. So if I hover over the nav, I see there's a bit of a mega flyout, and they start to unpack it, and they've done a very nice mega flyout. So I like that, but this does not do much for me. I do like this picture here because it doesn't look like stock imagery. It looks like real people. I'd like to know who these people are. I'd like to know if one of them is the director and if they're going to help me if there's a problem. So I think that it's really important on homepages, and you'll see some of our client sites, we actually have the key management on the homepage because people really want to know who they're going to deal with if there's a problem. This is a very gray background, and it's a very, very big section. I feel it takes up too much space, and there's a way more efficient way of presenting this information. I also am not a fan of colorful logos on my website because my design aesthetic for you and for your website is not the same as multicolored rainbow logos design aesthetic. So we often will make these grayscale, and we'll definitely, make that a little bit smaller, but it is a good trust cue. There's a big call to action. So the homepage really is not great. The menu conversely is actually quite nice. I quite like the menu. And assuming that nobody clicks to the second pages, that's all I'm going to give this site. So I'll give that site probably, I would say, a 3 out of 10. Definitely needs some work. Let's have a look at our second victim. This company is EMSI, and let's see what they do. What do they do? Welcome to EMS, provider of innovative engineering technology and solutions. So according to this, I don't know what they do. This picture comms unit. So this is some sort of a comms unit, and they do embedded electrical engineering products and solutions, still extremely vague, don't know what they do. And if I just look at their nav, I don't know what they do. So the only way that I'm going to know what they do is if I know what this picture is. So in the first 3 seconds of this visiting this website, I'm hopping because I don't know what they do. And I'm procurement, I don't know what the images look like. If I was engineering, I might know what this is. But someone in engineering told me to go and find this product, and they gave this website, and I landed here, and I was like, wow, this doesn't look like they do anything. Remember, most people bounce within 3 seconds. So when I hover over products, I see, oh, railway technology and power electronics. And now I start seeing, okay, AC/DC, they're in power. That's kind of what they do. I don't know what railway technology is, but if I was in railways, that would be interesting. But now when I scroll up, now I see railway technology and power electronics, but it's required on the first scroll. So your first opening banner not doing you any favors at all. But the first scroll, there it is, railway technology and power electronics. And again, we go into a little bit more information. So they do embedded engineering. So they do products and services. A lot of clients of ours do products and services. And there we see a nice country breakdown. We see some trust cues. On the whole, I like this website. I think it's really pretty. I think it's really nicely designed. I like this gray swoosh. I like the way things don't line up. I like the way the red's got a design. And I must be honest with you, I think it's a nice site. The only thing that they need to work on maybe is some of their wording here and maybe just unpacking a little bit more over there. But it tells me what they do and I have a sense of trust. So there's probably a bit of optimization that they can do. Other than that, I think they did a good job. All righty, let's go to the next site, Chrome Tech. So there's some animation on the load, building a connected industrial future. Mining, materials, logistics, and manufacturing. Okay, so there's 2 about sections here in the top nav. Then they go into their subsidiaries, and this seems to be some sort of a group site. So they don't actually have any products and services on their site, on the nav. It's just their subsidiaries. So potentially this is like a holding site or a portfolio page. So Chrome Recovery, but now they have a portfolio. So they do mining and metal recovery, building materials, rail and logistics. This looks like services to me, a portfolio. So potentially it's sub-products or sub-brands, but they're giving back. So it's nice that they've got some CSI. They've got their blogs on their page, which looks great. Guys, quick tip 101 on a blog. The images that you load on your blog impact your design aesthetic. If your aesthetic is red and black, your blog images need to be red and black. If your aesthetic is blue and this looks like blue and maybe, I'm not sure what, there's just this bright blue. Let's say blue and gray. I need images that are blue and gray. So any image that does not complement my color scheme doesn't belong on my homepage. Even this one, I know it's CSI, but the pink, it upsets the homepage. So That's interesting. I feel like the information architecture is wrong, and I feel like the navigation is wrong. So but it just depends on the goals and the stakeholders that they have designed the site for. We'll quickly do two other ones and then we'll wrap it up. So Coolcon Holdings, what do they do? Property construction, turnkey design. Okay, so About Us accreditations in the team. So they've taken up 3 navigation items with their About Us, again, starting with subsidiaries and properties, but I don't know what's there and there's no drop down and I'm not going to click because I don't like clicking. So if I go here, I have to scroll down to see what they do. So they do turnkey construction, fit out. Why couldn't they give me a drop down? And there's no products in the drop down. And maybe the thinking is, well, here's our services. This is what we do. It's on the home page. But remember, most people, 3 seconds, they're not scrolling. So you need your nav to have a drop down. And your nav really needs to support you. It's got a big job to play. I like the service, the industries unpack. I like your little global guy here. And I'm not sure I like this picture, but I'm sure this looks like it was created in PowerPoint. Definitely send it to our designers to fix this up because she ain't pretty. And then you've got this beautiful picture here, and then you've got this picture, which obviously the chairman of the board said, just get it up on the website and get it up today. And so they just saved it as a PDF and put it up there, but it's a little, she's not pretty. Look at that font. Look at those thick gray borders. This was not created by a designer, whereas this, very pretty, looks nice. So turnkey, and we've got affiliates here, gallery spotlight. On the whole, the website looks amazing, except for 1 or 2 small improvements. I do like the design aesthetic and just needs a little bit of fixing up. This website for me is very old because your achievement matters. Okay, I see they do CNC and they do people and they do training and support. I don't know what they mean by people, training, and support. I assume it's around CNC machines. When I click there, it seems they do a lot more than just CNC machines, but potentially that's all they do. So not sure what all of this pertains to. I have to click to find that out. Not a big fan of that.
The number 12.
Big orange gold 12. Not a big fan of that. And then again, you've got a very colorful images here, but it actually goes with their colorful look and feel. See, they've got all these colors here. So these colors actually go because they have a very colorful brand. I do not love this black background. It's very 2012. And they've also elected to put their entire staff complement on the website, which is interesting. So if I want to see, if I want to go and headhunt some of these people, I know exactly who they are. Our approach is really more to put managers there. But I did like that they've put everybody there. It gives everyone a little bit of sunshine, but it is quite a long scroll. Maybe they feel it, gives some gravitas and helps people know who they are and how big they are. I do love this. I love headquarter photos. I love factory photos. I love anything that makes me realize how big you are. And look how big they are. Look at these 2 massive, well, this one at least, headquarters. I think I used to work out of this building, Sunny Rock. I used to work in Sunny Rock. Otherwise, very colorful. Website definitely needs a design. I'm thinking that the website is from, let's see if we can see it. The copyright usually is outdated. I think that the website's at least 10 years old, maybe 15. So definitely needs a refresh. That's what I think. All right, let's go back to the presentation. So that hopefully was helpful, and a little bit of an unpack of our approach to websites, and then just auditing a couple of sites live. And if you want us to audit your site, you can definitely email us your URL and I'll hop on a live audit with you in person, one-on-one, and we can talk through your website, what we would do. We've also launched a product called Websites in a Week. 7 working days, we'll churn out a website for you. It is an AI-assisted website design from start to finish, but with a lot of human intervention as well as our unique UX and approach to the website. Before we go into your action plan, I wanted to ask Hunter. Hunter, did you have anything you wanted to say in terms of the quick audit that was done on the websites that we just looked at?
There were just a few things that stuck out to me. You covered a few of them. The logos, I definitely agree that it shouldn't just be like a big collage of of logos. It really needs to be a little bit more contained and just tighter, just to kind of really complement the rest of your look and feel. So you can introduce some animation, have it scrolling, and definitely for me, that trust layer, it can live a lot further up the page than all the way at the bottom. All of those trust layers, they are so important. You don't need to hide them. So I think to bump that up would be quite beneficial. And then in terms of imagery, I also definitely agree when there's just so many colors happening, it can hurt the eye quite a bit. So when you have team images, it's absolutely amazing. You want to kind of like get a feel for the culture and the company. Maybe try to have them a little bit more consistent in their look and feel. So like you'll have a consistent background, something that's a little bit more neutral, just to neaten it up a little bit, than a little bit of a rainbow. I think just in terms of complementing your art direction of the site, just those little things are what I picked up now in one of those last ones, Dylan. Thank you.
Thank you, Hunter. That's Hunter's way of saying the design hurt her eyes, and definitely a professional design is needed. And look, there are no judgments. The very first website I designed myself, Apple Macs used to come out with this software, and you could actually design a little homemade website, kind of like a Wix drag and drop. It was amazing. And my very first website that I created, I built myself, my own logo that I created in Photoshop. I was so proud of myself. And in retrospect, the ugliest website that's ever been built was built by me, and the logo I created was absolutely appalling. One day I'll share it with you if you want a good laugh. I think it might even be on our About Us page, but I'll have to look. So there are no judgments. I know what looks nice, but definitely don't ask me to create it. That's why we have a top design team working with us. All right, so let's walk you through a little bit of an action plan, something really practical so you don't feel overwhelmed. Number one, where do you start? Let's look at your data. Let's look at your data. So, let's look at AI. Are you ranking in AI? Let's look at SEO. Are you ranking in SEO? Let's run your website through an auditor. Let's see what's broken on the site. Let's dive into your Google Analytics. Let's look at your social data. Let's research your surveys, your customers, and let's survey them. And that's really the starting point, is to understand, like, what can we unpack? How much information can we put on the table, and how can we use this to inform us? And then we think. So we take all the information that we have and we actually create some sort of a plan. Who are our personas? What do they need? What does the business need? And how do we bring these two together? So we actually sit and we plan and we wireframe. We do a lot of wireframing. In all of the websites that we showed you, there was a lot of wireframing and pre-designed steps. Then we go and we start creating. So this is where you actually start building out your web pages, your landing pages, your web assets that are really, really geared around each persona. That's super, super important. And if you only have time for one page, do one page a month. That's all you need to do. If that's all the time that you have, then that's all you need to do. Then let's educate. And this is an ongoing job, and you can see that I've indicated that it's an ongoing job. You need to educate your team and the leadership on what are the main metrics and why are they important. Because there's something in marketing called vanity metrics, and then there's real impactful ROI-driven metrics. And you need to understand what they are, and your business needs to understand what they are. Because once you understand that, then you start driving the right metrics, not just traffic. Traffic is a vanity metric. But are they converting? That's the real metric. And really, really important, especially in the world of AI, is your employee advocacy. So and hand in hand with that goes thought leadership, which is your executive. And it's got to start at the top. So if your executive are creating content, we actually create content on on behalf of a number of our executives and behalf of leaders in many fields, because not that they don't know how to create content, but being a platform expert and a messaging expert is sometimes challenging, especially when you're at the top. But really, thought leadership at the top, the exec senior management should be creating content, and employee advocacy, as we move down, everybody should be creating social content, and that really feeds the AI engine. And then definitely be measuring everything. So 10-point quick checklist. I'm not going to go through this. I think you've heard enough of my voice through this call, but you can definitely take a photo of this, and you can catch up the video at a later stage on our YouTube channel. This will definitely help you to make sure that your site is on the right track. And in closing, as we said, websites have a very big job to do. They have to support sales. They have to support the buyer's journey. and they have to really rank in SEO and AI. So, as we wrap up, we open the floor to any questions. Anybody has any questions, please feel free to comment them in the chat. And what we've done in the meantime is we've prepared a handy guide for you. So if you go on our website, you are welcome to click to the resources section. You'll find a bunch of downloadables and how-to guides and playbooks there for you to just get a start on getting your B2B marketing in place. So we've created a B2B website checklist and playbook for you, which you're welcome to download at any time, as well as an article on engineering and brands and how to make your website win. So that's it, guys. We have covered a lot of content and it's been a power session. Thank you so much for being so engaging and for everyone's input. And I really just want to encourage you that if you are overwhelmed at any point, to reach out to us. We know how to get the rocket ship to the moon. And we also have Scale One, which you are welcome to request a demo on at any point in time. Just pop us an email, info@shift1.co.za, or message us on any of our social media channels. We're standing by to take your call. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Hunter, again for joining me.
Thank you so much, Dylan. I really hope that this has been insightful to everybody. And if you have any questions or you would like an audit, as Dylan suggested, please feel free to shout out. We would love to help you.
Absolutely. And guys, if you're consuming this via one of the social media platforms, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help us, especially in terms of driving up the organic virality. But thanks to everybody, and thanks to Kaylee and the great team at Shift One for another successful webinar. And we wish you all the best. Thanks, everybody. Keep well. Bye-bye.